They took two courses, along perhaps some elective. And we also, our students can also take courses in the top primary school in South Korea at KAIS. Those are just talking about chemical engineering courses, but if you want to take more elective, there are more than 80 programs that you can do that. At least 1/3 of our grad students have studied abroad, and those numbers are actually growing. If you want to see more details, I'm sharing with you that one. There is also the International Plan Diploma designation, in which you are, if you want to have that in your certificate or in your diploma once you graduate, you want to have, okay, I got my bachelor in chemical engineering, but if you want to be displaying that you also got an international diploma designation, you will be required to take a different language. Perhaps you want to study Japanese, Russian, German, Italy, French. You're going to have you need to study abroad. You're also going to do perhaps also some research. This is also very, very important for Georgia Tech. So how many of you have started working, or how many of you have started doing any internship? Anybody have worked at Peru? Repsol. Oh yeah?
I work in Peru and Repsol.
Nice.
Yes, I work.
So this is one of the opportunities that this university should try to foster. You can see that our students, actually 73 of our students already just graduated from the university, and they have already practiced. We actually don't encourage the students to start looking for jobs in their last semester. We actually encourage the students to start looking for internships from the very first semester. We think that if they have that experience, let's say to work at Peru, they see the heat exchanger, they see the distillation column, they see those equipments, and they actually work there. So they will come back when they actually take heat transfer, and they will actually love studying that course because they saw that equipment and they actually work with us. So that would be a great opportunity for you, and I can also encourage the faculty, that you should start looking to apply for internships as soon as you can. Because you will have more opportunities, it's going to strengthen your CV. You can see that with 73% of our students graduate with that experience. We have, correct. So also what we have at Georgia Tech is what we call a co-op. So there is an agreement with different companies, let's say ExxonMobil, Chevron, or different companies across the globe, in which the students are supposed to be working for 3 semesters, could be summer too. They just work there for an entire semester and they will come back here, and that will show in their diploma. And when they start looking for a job once they graduate, their employer will say, okay, this student is a really good student, he has high grades, high scores, but also has that experience, and that will give them highly good chances to get into a job. You can see that our students, because of those opportunities, the median salary that they just after they graduate, and that's the starting salary, at least they get $75,000 per year, and that number can actually be much larger. But if you go to Exxon, you can have 6 figures just as studying engineer, and that salary, of course, will go up. So this is part of what I would like you to start doing. Look for jobs from the very first semester, but also try to participate in different student organizations. So our students actively participate in the ASHE student chapters. They participate in the Omega Chi Epsilon. Then we have some student ambassadors. We have the Society of Women Engineers, the Engineers Without Borders, Tau Beta Phi, and we have a large number of students participating in different organizations because we want to give what we learn to the community. That's very important. And because of that, because you do a lot of things, once you graduate, you are going to have a very strong network. Oh, you're from Georgia Tech. Nice to meet you, and you're going to start making more. Very fruitful network.
The other component that we try to emphasize for the students is the research experience. And that's because Georgia Tech has a PhD program, so most of the professors do research, and we actually have quite a large research expenditure. So this is funding that we get from government, from industry, a total of $30 million in a year. This is spent mainly to pay the graduate students and the graduates to do research for different fields. And about 60% of our undergraduates actually participate in research, and we encourage them to do even from just when they get in Georgia Tech as a first year. And some of them may say, oh, we don't have the experience, we don't know enough, but a lot of our faculty members, a lot of our professors just say, well, it's all right, you learn from the very beginning and you get used to doing research. So many of them just do research maybe for 2-3 semesters, but so some of them do research actually their entire time, in addition to taking classes. That may be usually something like adding maybe 6 to 12 hours per week of being in the laboratory doing research or doing other types of research. And I also want to talk a little about the research that we do in Georgia Tech. And so this is a good way to connect to that. There are many research that people do, and they don't all fall into the category of traditional chemical engineering. So I just want to highlight some examples of what we do. And these are the 4 areas that we identify as strategic areas. Not only because it's important right now, but also moving forward in the future, things that we think will be more and more important. So for instance, energy and sustainability. This is, of course, everybody knows the importance of this. In the posters yesterday, I saw a lot of students talk about the importance of sustainability and environmental responsibility. And so a lot of the work that's done in Georgia Tech in this area have to do with improving the current process, making it more sustainable and more environmentally responsible, but also creating new technology. Moving forward, what are the things that will eventually have to displace the current technology? And these, for some examples, are work in sustainable separations. So separations that were done previously with distillation and so on can be moved now to other things that are more sustainable, that uses less energy. But also works in biofuels. It's maybe quite a few faculty members, maybe around 6 or 8 of our 40 faculty members deal with biofuels. Then some also work in batteries and fuel cells, and a few people are working on carbon capture and sequestration, so capturing CO2 and figuring out what to do with it. And we also have an area that we call complex systems. I usually joke with students that we don't do simple systems, we do complex systems, but of course it's complex. But it's complex in the idea that it's a systematic way of looking at the process as a whole, not just looking at individual components. And so usually things in this area fall into using mathematical tools, simulations, and looking at the process as a whole. And some examples in this are process control and manufacturing. We have quite a concentration of people doing process control in our department. We just hired somebody, we just accepted yesterday, that they will come with strength and process control and manufacturing. Actually, some of our faculty members also collaborate with industrial engineering. Is there one? So working with supply chains, management of energy delivery, and things like that. And also, there are interdisciplinary connections with sustainability, because things like environmental systems, how do you look at the Earth as a whole, and the atmosphere, and how that connects with the ocean. All these connections, looking at it as an entirety instead of just looking at individual components. And also things like waste management. What do you do with nuclear waste? I mean, what do you do with waste from chemical processes? how do you move them around from one place to another. So that kind of modeling there are a few people work in our department. And then materials and nanotechnology, some people mentioned this earlier, and this is something that chemical engineers, I guess, have been dealing with for a while. But there are new materials that professors in our department are looking at. So nanomaterials, for instance, for electronics, photonics, phononics, and some people work with semiconductors, inorganic, but also organic semiconductors to make flexible electronics, for instance. Design of catalysis, new materials for catalysts that has specific chemical and physical properties. Some people look at nano manufacturing. If there are all these nanomaterials with great properties, but you cannot produce them in large quantities and it's useless. So what are different about nanomaterials? How do you actually consider, how do you scale up them to make not just in the lab, but actually for mass production? And then biotechnology, because we are, after all, chemical and biomolecular engineering. So biotechnology, maybe about a third, close to one half of our faculty, maybe a third, work in biotechnology area. And this is not just bio in the sense that working with biological system, but also larger things like agriculture and biofuels and so on. And of course, there are a lot of connections within this and sustainability ideas. So biorefining, biofuels, how do you use natural resources? So Georgia has a long history of with textile and with paper, so cotton and forest products. And so the shift now, there's a shift going from traditional textile industry, the paper industry making papers, but thinking about how do you actually use these plants for higher value materials, so biorefining, making chemicals from plants. But in the biotechnology area, there are also people working with biomedical systems, like therapeutic protein materials. There are a few people in our department that works on that. One faculty member, Dr. Mark Prasnitz, he works with drug delivery systems, shown here, microneedles, so this is for patches. How do you deliver drugs without being invasive, just through the skin? So he does research on that. And we recently hired a young assistant professor who works with what he calls frugal science. Frugal?
Oh yes.
How do you want to?
I think it's the same translation.
Frugal. Yeah. So it's the idea that biomedical devices are often it's very useful, but often very expensive. So Saad Bamra, a new assistant professor, he started working on this frugal science, the idea that can we make devices that actually serve the interest of poor communities around the world. Can you make, for instance, blood analysis device, a centrifuge or something to do the analysis that could just cost under $1 a device. A simple one maybe, it doesn't have all the range of the most expensive device, but then you can actually use it in a large part of the world and not just serve the interest of the wealthy. So those are some examples of the area of research. So we do, of course, with 40 faculty members, we have a lot more things going on, and maybe it doesn't really fall into very neatly into these 4 categories. And there are a lot of things going between these areas. Maybe nanomaterials that are actually relevant for biomedical devices, or energy and sustainability, looking at it from a complex systems perspective. But this is how we try to categorize it, and these are the areas that we think are going to be important in the future, and we try to grow research in this area. Okay. Yeah. So I talked about the undergraduate program, so there's bachelor's. So for the graduate program, master's and doctoral students, we do have a few master students. So Christian will talk about the doctoral program and all that in a little bit, but the masters, there are actually fewer, and there are more PhD students, and these are doctoral students who do thesis and work for 4, 5, 6 years perhaps. Master students, they take classes typically. We don't do thesis for masters, and that's only maybe 1 or 2 years. 200 graduate students, and we always try to, Christian mentioned this earlier, about diversity and how the graduate students actually perhaps more diverse than the undergraduate. We have in the 2018 class who came in last year, about half, close to half now, are actually female, and that's really something that we try to encourage to have more families. And 25% are minorities. This is, I'm not sure about here in Peru, but in the United States, something that we are also concerned about. We also want to serve everybody, and we try to push for having more diversity in the class. And about actually more than half are actually international students. Right now, most of our international students come from China, Korea, India. Those are the top 3. And we of course try also to have a more diverse places where people come from, because we think that's beneficial for everyone.
Okay, so basically, let me ask you this question: how much do you think it would cost you to do a PhD in the United States? How much do you think you need to pay?
100,000.
100,000 per year. How much do you think you need to pay?
Total. No?
How much do you think, if you're accepted at any institution in the United States, how much do you think you need to pay? 2,000? How much do you think do you need to pay?
So let's how many people think it's more than
Peru.
yeah, well, no,
Okay.
how many people think it's more than $50,000 a year?
I think it really depends on the
Let's say
scholarships.
Yeah, let's say. Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and,
So
and
we'll
I
figure
would
that.
say most of the people who is studying there has scholarships.
So right. How many people think it's more than $20,000 a year? Nobody wants to do more than 10,000?
A million. So it's more than free. You are actually getting paid to do a PhD anywhere in the United States, at least in the engineering part.
That's nice.
If you enter to a PhD program, you will be given a stipend. I think at Georgia Tech we pay our students around $27,000, $28,000 a year, which is a little bit. You will have enough to do your living for 5 years. So it's around 28. You will receive $28,000 per year, and free tuition and so on. So it's actually a myth that you actually need to pay a lot. If you're applying for a PhD, you will receive money, so you can sustain yourself.
So this expenditures, that's because the professors have to ask for money or grants from the government and from the industry to pay the graduate students to do the research and to pay themselves, I guess. But mainly, it's actually a large part of it is to pay the graduate students, the doctoral students to do research. And so they pay the tuition, but also give stipend, like Christian mentioned.
Okay, so there is no exception. You can certainly apply for scholarships here in Peru, let's say. You may have slightly more chances to get into Georgia Tech. But if you are accepted into Georgia Tech, you will have money to, let's say, survive.
And everywhere in the US.
Yeah, not only Georgia Tech, but everywhere in the United States. Talking about engineering. So let me guide you through a timeline if you think you want to do a PhD. So first of all, if you want to do a PhD, what do you think you need to start doing first? So you say, I want to apply for a PhD at Georgia Tech. So what you should start thinking? First of all, you need to think on what areas do you think you can work in. Perhaps you want to do bioengineering, perhaps you want to work with catalysis. And if you are looking to work, let's say, in catalysis, then your next job is to think where. Should I go to Georgia Tech? Perhaps I can go to MIT, perhaps I can go to Berkeley, Stanford. You need to start doing your homework and you need to start thinking on what each school, what do they do. So this is what you need to start doing early before you submit your application. You need to start thinking where do you think you need to start to go. Then you need to start thinking to prepare for some of the standardized tests, perhaps the GRE and TOEFL. You need to start preparing for those tests. And then you need to start taking, well, you need to take those tests and start looking for letters of recommendations. And I will talk about a little bit of this letter of recommendation, but they should be way ahead the deadline. You need to talk with the faculty that you may have work and start asking them, can you write me a good letter of recommendation? What do you think you have done? And that could be a good way to you apply. Also, you need to start writing an essay. If you want to apply to Georgia Tech, you need to tell us why do you think you deserve to be there. So why would be you, why do you think you would be a good candidate for us to pick you across many of the applicants? You need to tell us what do you do, what do you think you can provide us. And after you compile all of these tools, you need to write your letter of recommendations, statement of purpose, taking those tests, then start looking to establish certain connections to any faculty and submit your applications. The applications are usually in December of any year, and you will be given any notice by February. So you will be getting some information about whether you were accepted or not in January, February, and you will usually start your classes in the middle of summer. That's usually the timeline. Let's see if I have something. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of tips on how you can how you can improve your chances to get a PhD. So first of all, you need to show to Georgia Tech or any institution why do you think you're the best candidates. So you need to start doing some research here, perhaps at uni. I saw many of you doing many good research here. I know that some students were working with bioethanol. I believe some students were working with algae. Some students were working with blue magic. There are multiple tools that you can start doing here. Perhaps if you don't think you like those research, perhaps you can also make different connections. I know that some students are working in the CETIC. If you think you can do what you want in different schools in this university, you can also start making those connections and knocking those doors. I want to work with what you're doing. You're doing biosensors, perhaps in mechanical engineering. If you think you can also go for other universities in Peru. Perhaps you can go to Católica, you can go to San Marcos, you can go to Agraria, perhaps FIQT. You need to start doing some research here. Then once you have that resume, once you do that research here in Peru, it will be great for your credentials to start doing some internship abroad. And that's what I did. So basically, I did my internship at the University of Oklahoma. I think it's good. Basically, what you need to start doing is looking for certain fellowships. Perhaps you have done catalysis here at uni for 2 years or 1 year, and you want to do more catalysis but in the United States while you're studying right here. So what you can do is look for certain money. Perhaps you can knock the door to the Patronato Uni, you can knock the door to Concitec, you can knock the door for different places in which you can get some money, so they can perhaps pay you your flight ticket to any university, and they can give you certain stipends. And I know for sure that 2 of the students that I sort of advised here went to different universities. Perhaps you know Jordi Ramos. Anybody here? Do you know him? Jordi Ramos. He was my former student when I was stationed in the academy here. And first of all, he talked to me. He wanted to go to Washington State University. I advised him on what things he needs to do here first before he applied, and then he nodded up to Patronato Uni, and they gave a little bit of a stipend. So he went to Washington State University for 6 months. He did like what he did at Washington State, so then he nodded up again, I think to Concitec or Patronato, and then he went to Brazil for 2 or 3 months. Perhaps you know this guy, Joey Mendoza. He's perhaps just recently graduated. Yeah, I mean, he just graduated. Joey Mendoza. He was the founder of the ACG chapter right here. He also talked to me, and I gave him some advice on what things he needs to do in order to do research. And he also went to Washington State, and he spent 2 months or 3 months working with Dr. Sanders. So there are things that you can also do, but before you start knocking the doors and to ask any faculty in the United States, it would be great if you can do research first here. Spend 6 months, 1 year doing research here, and then you can show your credentials and you can apply them to do an internship in the United States. So once you have those credentials, then you can then apply perhaps for a PhD, because now you have shown you have certain credentials that indicates that you have done research, and you would be a great candidate for a PhD. Some tips that I also would like to share with you to improve your CV is that it's good that you are very hardworking and study a lot. So you take mass transfer, heat transfer, material and balances. But it's important that you have a different side. So it would be great if you can participate in different student organizations. So I know that you have SECOA, you have the SIS, now you have the SHE. It would be great if you can also participate in those student organizations. Or perhaps if you don't find anything interesting there, perhaps you can create your own. I know that, for instance, UTEC has just formed what is called the Women in Engineering, and we would like to see more women also participating here in engineering. You can perhaps, if you like jazz, perhaps you can form your own club of jazz. It would be great, so that shows you that you also care about, you care about knowledge, but you also care about other sides of you. For contact professors, based on your experience, basically what I just talked to you. So after you do your own research here, then knock the door to or start sending emails to faculty in the United States. So perhaps you can work with them. It's also important that while you're here, you can show your leadership, and you need to do a little bit of outreach, because it's good that we are good engineers, but we need to serve the society. And it's important for us to give back to what we learn. And please make sure that you have a decent social media. So if you have any picture that we would do, it might be embarrassed to have like 10 years, please delete it. And make sure that you have good and thoughtful comments when you post online, because now everything is public, and anything that you may comment or post today might be highlighted later on. And most importantly, have a positive attitude. So if you want to criticize anybody, you can do it face to face, but don't show that negativity publicly. It's important that we think that we're a family and we actually care about the well-being of everybody. If there are good things that you see in another person, say it, make it public. But if you think there is something that might need to be corrected, you can tell him directly. But I advise you to don't make it public, because other people from outside might see that. And as I mentioned, it's good to be a good chemical engineer, but also try to polish your non-technical skills, such as leadership. And that's, most importantly, enjoy your time while you're here. Thank you.